Hi, welcome to today's video. So today we'll be looking at simultaneous equations and how to solve them. So previously we've already established that there are a few methods that we can use, but today we're just going to be looking at two. We're going to look at the elimination method and we're also going to look at substitution method. Alright, I feel like I should have written this in reverse order because we're going to do substitution first and then we're going to look at elimination method. Okay, alright, so this is our set of equations for today. We have equation 1 and equation 2. Just going to read it out. It says 3x plus 2y equals 7. That's equation 1. And 5x minus y equals 3. That's equation 2. So the first method we're going to look at is the substitution method. And I'm going to say that first of all, substitution method is easy when you have one of the variables without any coefficient. What is a coefficient? So we have 3 in front of the x, we have 2 in front of the y, we have 5 in front of the x, and we have nothing, which is also like 1 in front of this y. So these are the coefficients, the numbers that come before the variables. And in this case, we have 1y, which is the same thing as just y. So in that scenario, it's quite easy to use substitution method. Okay, so we're going to look at how to use substitution method now. Okay, so for substitution method, this is the first thing we're going to do. Since we have one of the variables without any coefficient, which is this guy here, then what we're going to do is we are going to make y the subject of the second equation. So if we have 5x minus y equals 3, then if we take y to this side and bring this 3 to the other side, we will have 5x minus 3 equals y. Don't forget that when you're crossing the equal to sign, the sign of your variables change. So this was a negative y before, so now it's a positive y. And this was a positive 3, now it's a negative 3. So if we have 5x minus 3 equals y, what we're going to do is we're going to now substitute in equation 1. Okay, so it means that wherever we see y in equation 1, we're going to use 5x minus 3. So that becomes 3x plus 2, put it in a bracket, 5x minus 3 equals 7. So that's the whole point of substitution. Substitution is easy and it's best when you have a variable that does not have any coefficient attached to it. Alright, so if we expand this, we're just going to give this equation 3 because it's a new equation, and then we're going to try to expand it. So we have 3x plus 10x minus 6 equals 7. And if we group the like terms, then take this one over to the other side, take the minus 6 over so that it can also be grouped. We have 13x equals 7 plus 6. Okay, and that gives us 13x equals 13. And if we divide both sides by 13, we have that x equals 1. Right, so that we don't go to a new page, I'm just going to now complete it here. So now that we have our x as 1, all we have to do is come back to this equation that we used for our substitution, and then we will impute x as 1. So we have 5 minus 3 equals y. So in that case, 5 minus 3 will be equal to y, and I'm going to just flip it now. We have y equals 2. So at the end of the day, we have that x equals 1 and y equals 2. This is the result of our simultaneous equation that we started with. You see how easy it was? We didn't have to go through too many steps to get to the answer because we used substitution method in the right way. Alright, we're going to use a different equation and then we're going to do the elimination method. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at elimination method, which is, I think, one that you will see more often because most of the time you may not get simultaneous equations with any variable not having a coefficient. So we're going to use elimination method now. As you can see, none of them have a 1 as the coefficient, so we're going to have to be more creative. Don't get me wrong, you can still use substitution method here. It's going to take a lot more work from you. So in order not to have that, we'll go to elimination method. Now we use elimination method in 2 occasions. Number 1, when you have the same variable having the same coefficient, which is what I try to show here. So we have that y and y both have 5 and 5 as their coefficient. So it's a no-brainer to use elimination method in this instance. And what do we do with the elimination method? With elimination method, all we try to do is remove that variable that has the same coefficient. So we're going to eliminate these y's. We're going to eliminate both of them. Bear in mind that it doesn't really matter what the sign in front of the coefficient is. As you can see, this one has a +5 and this one has a -5. So that doesn't really matter as long as they are both the same number. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to have to either add or subtract the equations from each other. I usually like to represent it by a plus or a minus sign just here in front, depending on what we're going to do. Now that is where we have to calculate, or we have to take into account the sign of the coefficient. Again, I'm going to say, remember that as long as they have the same number, which is 5 and 5 in this case, we can use elimination method. The sign only comes to play when we're deciding whether we're going to add or we're going to subtract the equations from each other. Alright, so in this case, since they have 2 different signs, this is a plus and this is a minus, they have 2 different signs. So what we're going to do is we are going to add. We're going to add. Now, we're just going to bring it down here. Let me write it out again. So we have 3x plus 5y equals 14, and that's equation 1. And then we have 5x minus 5y equals 10. That's equation 2. So, like I said, you have different signs. Means you're going to add them. If you have the same sign, means you will subtract. So in this case, we're adding. So if we just put a plus sign here, 3x plus 5x becomes 8x, plus 5y plus minus 5y becomes 0, and then 14 plus 10 becomes 24. In that case, we now have that 8x equals 24. If we divide both sides by 8, we will have x equals 3. Simple as that. Again, without going too far, what we will now do is we can now pick any of the equations we want to work with, either equation 1 or equation 2. Let's just go with equation 1. So from equation 1, we have that 3x plus 5y equals 14. So if we substitute the value of x, we will have 3 times 3 plus 5y equals 14. And in that case, 9 plus 5y equals 14. So again, we'll take this one over to this other side to collect like terms, and that will give you 5y equals 14 minus 9. 5y equals 5, and therefore y equals 1. Alright, so for this simultaneous equation, the solution is x equals 3 and y equals 1. And that's elimination method. Now there's one other scenario where elimination method is obviously the no-brainer, and that is if you don't have the same coefficient anywhere. So we're going to look at that next. Let's get a different equation for that. Alright, so now we're going to look at a different pair of simultaneous equations, and we're still going to use elimination method. As you can see in this case, there is no, first of all of them have coefficients, and no two variables have the same coefficient. So we're going to still use elimination method, but how are we going to do it? Remember that the key to elimination method is that you have to have the same variable having the same coefficients. So what do we do in this case? Alright, so it means that we will have to make one of these variables, either the x or the y, we'll have to make them have the same coefficient. And how are we going to do that? It's very simple. Let's say we want to eliminate, we have to first choose what we want to eliminate. So choose variable to eliminate. In this case, since we have to make the choice, let's say we're going to go with, we're eliminating x. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take the coefficients of x and multiply them with the other equation. So what does that mean? It means that we'll take this 3 here and we'll multiply it in the second equation, and we'll take this 2 and we'll multiply it in the first equation. So what does it become? We'll multiply every single variable by 2 for the first equation, and we'll do that multiply by 3 for the second equation. So our new equations will become 3x times 2, that will be 6x, plus 2y times 2 is 4y, equals 13 times 2 is 26. And then let's say we give this equation 3, and then for the next one we'll have 2x times 3, which will be 6x, plus 3y times 3 is 9y, and 12 times 3 is 36. Okay, so now we have these two as the same thing, which means our elimination method can proceed as planned. Okay, so now remember that I said if we have the same sign, which we do in this case, we will have to subtract. And the beauty of the subtraction is we don't always have to subtract 3 minus 4, because if you look at it, the values in equation 4 are bigger than the values in equation 3. So we can actually flip it. We can actually decide to do equation 4 minus equation 3. We can decide to do that. It still works. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, just so that we don't end up with a lot of negative values. If you decide to do equation 3 minus equation 4, it will still work. You still get the right answer. It's just this method, this way, is less tedious. And so what do we have? 6 minus 6 is 0, plus 9y minus 4y is 5y, and then 36 minus 26 is 10. Clearly we can see that 5y equals 10, and if we divide both sides by 5, we have that y equals 2. Alright, so now that we have our y, we can go back to one of the original equations, or we can decide to use any of these new equations. Doesn't actually matter. Let's take equation 1. Let's just go with equation 1. So equation 1 says 3x plus 2y equals 13. Let's write it out here. And if we substitute our y, we have 3x plus 2 times 2 equals 13. So 3x plus 4 equals 13. Let's take the 4 over to the other side. We have 3x equals 13 minus 4. 3x equals 9. Dividing both sides by 3, we have x equals 3. So let me see if I can take that up a little higher. So for this set of simultaneous equations, x is 3 and y is 2. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please like it. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. You can also leave a comment on a particular topic that you want me to cover, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.